Be me. 27. Women's Studies professor at liberal arts college. Published researcher on gender equality and social justice. Run feminist blog with 50K monthly readers. Constantly posting about misogyny and lack of respect for women in society. Always believed disrespect toward women came from patriarchal conditioning and male privilege. Society teaches men that women are inferior. Media objectifies us. Workplace discrimination keeps us down. Systematic oppression explains everything. Post weekly about microaggressions and everyday sexism. Why do people dismiss women's opinions? Why don't they take us seriously in professional settings? Why do men interrupt us constantly? Blame it all on ingrained misogyny. Feel morally superior about understanding root causes of women's problems. Tuesday evening, faculty dinner with colleagues from various departments. Conversation turns to student behavior and academic standards. Male colleague mentions concerning trend he's noticed. Says female students increasingly use emotional manipulation to get grade changes. Crying in office hours over deserved grades. Claiming mental health crises to extend deadlines indefinitely. Using Title IX threats over normal academic feedback. Feel immediately defensive. Tell him he's probably just uncomfortable with women expressing emotions. Classic male dismissal of female experience. He pauses. Says he's actually very sympathetic to student struggles, but explains specific examples that sound less like emotional expression and more like strategic manipulation. Student who cried hysterically over B+ grade demanded A- for mental health reasons. When he refused, she filed complaint claiming his feedback traumatized her. Another student who missed half semester, claimed anxiety disorder, demanded full credit anyway. When he offered reasonable accommodations, she accused him of discrimination. Feel uncomfortable but still defensive. Tell him these students probably have legitimate struggles he's not understanding. Wednesday, conversation with female colleague Dr. Martinez about same topic. Expect her to validate my perspective about male professors' bias. Instead, she admits she's seeing similar patterns. Female students who demand special treatment then claim victimhood when held to normal standards. Shows me emails from students. One demanding grade change because assignment was triggering. Another claiming professor's feedback was hostile and traumatic, despite being constructive and professional. Dr. Martinez says she started documenting everything because students threaten complaints over basic academic requirements. Thursday, decide to investigate student behavior patterns more systematically. Review my own interactions with students over past 2 years. Start noticing things I previously dismissed. Female students who claim discrimination when getting same feedback as male students. Women who use tears strategically during grade discussions. Students who invoke trauma and mental health to avoid academic consequences. Feel growing discomfort as pattern becomes undeniable. Friday, conversation with department chair about grade appeal trends. She's been tracking data on student complaints and academic appeals. Shows me statistics. 70% of grade appeals come from female students, despite balanced enrollment. 80% cite emotional distress or discrimination rather than academic merit. Most appeals are ultimately denied, but process creates massive administrative burden and liability concerns for faculty. Weekend, research expanding beyond campus. Look into broader trends in female behavior and social accountability. Find data on workplace harassment claims. Significant increase in reports that lack evidence or involve normal professional interactions being reframed as hostile. Read about social media cancel culture patterns. Women leading campaigns to destroy people's careers over minor social infractions or misunderstandings. Study family court trends. False accusations in custody battles increasing, emotional manipulation tactics being rewarded by system. Monday, uncomfortable realization forming. Maybe disrespect toward women isn't entirely due to patriarchal conditioning. Maybe some of it comes from observable patterns of female behavior. Feel guilty for even thinking this. Goes against everything I've taught and believed about gender dynamics. Tuesday, interview male colleagues privately about their experiences with female students and coworkers. Stories are remarkably consistent. Women who use emotions strategically to avoid consequences. Female colleagues who claim discrimination when not getting preferred treatment. Students who threaten Title IX complaints over normal professional interactions. One professor says he now avoids mentoring female students because risk of false accusations is too high. Another records all meetings with women to protect himself legally. Feels sick hearing this but can't deny pattern they're describing. Wednesday, research historical trends in respect for women. Look at data from different decades to see when decline started. Find that respect for women was actually higher in previous generations despite less legal equality. Correlation seems inverse. As women gained more institutional power, social respect decreased. Thursday, examine what changed in female behavior over past decades. Compare how women acted in professional and academic settings historically versus now. Previous generations of women worked twice as hard to prove themselves, held themselves to higher standards, avoided appearing emotional or demanding special treatment. Modern women often demand equal treatment while simultaneously requesting special accommodations, use identity as shield against criticism, claim victimhood when facing normal challenges. Friday, weekend research into evolutionary psychology and social dynamics. Study how group reputation forms and changes over time. Learn that respect is earned through consistent demonstration of positive traits: reliability, accountability, competence, integrity. When group members consistently violate these principles, entire group's reputation suffers. If significant portion of women engage in manipulative or irresponsible behavior, it affects perception of all women. Monday, devastating realization hits. Maybe women lost respect because too many of us started acting in ways that don't deserve respect. Feel terrible for thinking this, but evidence is overwhelming. Tuesday, examine feminist movement's role in this decline. Look at how modern feminism teaches women to respond to challenges. Find messaging encouraging women to claim victimhood rather than take responsibility, telling women that any criticism is discrimination, teaching that emotional reactions are always valid regardless of context. Modern feminism may have inadvertently trained women to behave in ways that reduce social respect. Wednesday, interview older women about changes they've observed. Female professors emeritus, businesswomen from previous generations. All describe same pattern. Younger women expecting special treatment, avoiding accountability, using gender as excuse for poor performance. One retired executive says she's embarrassed by how some young women represent themselves professionally. Another professor emeritus says she worked for decades to break barriers that younger women are destroying through entitled behavior. Thursday, research social media influence on female behavior patterns. Study how online culture rewards certain types of female conduct. Find that social media incentivizes victimhood narratives, emotional manipulation, and accountability avoidance. Women get attention and support for claiming oppression rather than demonstrating competence. Platform algorithms reward outrage and grievance content, training women to see themselves as perpetual victims. Friday, examine dating and relationship trends. Research how changes in female behavior affect male respect and romantic interest. Dating app data shows men increasingly avoiding serious relationships with educated women. Male survey responses cite concerns about false accusations, emotional manipulation, and lack of accountability. Men report preferring women from cultures that emphasize personal responsibility and emotional regulation. Weekend, month into research. Pattern undeniably clear across all social contexts. Significant portion of modern women engage in behavior patterns that reduce respect, avoiding accountability, claiming victimhood, using emotions manipulatively, demanding special treatment while claiming equality. Monday, struggle with implications of research findings. If women lost respect due to behavioral changes, solution isn't fighting misogyny, solution is changing behavior. Feel like academic heretic for reaching this conclusion. Tuesday, test theory by observing respected women versus non-respected women. Study behavioral differences between them. Respected women take responsibility for mistakes, handle criticism professionally, demonstrate competence consistently, avoid using gender as excuse, emotional regulation in professional settings. Non-respected women blame others for problems, claim discrimination when facing criticism, use tears or anger strategically, invoke gender when convenient, Emotional volatility as norm. Pattern matches research findings perfectly. Wednesday, examine institutional responses to female behavior. Study how organizations adapt to avoid liability from female complaints. Find that many institutions now avoid hiring or promoting women due to legal risks. Male-only professional networks forming unofficially. Gender-segregated workplace policies increasing. Organizations protecting themselves from false accusations and emotional manipulation claims. Thursday, research international comparisons. Study respect for women in different cultures, with varying behavioral norms. Find that women are most respected in cultures that expect high standards of personal conduct from them. Cultures that excuse poor female behavior show lower respect for women overall. Respect correlates with expectations, not with legal rights or institutional power. Friday, 6 weeks into research. Conclusions becoming unavoidable despite personal discomfort. Women lost respect because too many started acting disrespectfully. Feminist messaging encouraging victimhood and accountability avoidance backfired. Solution requires acknowledging problem and changing behavior patterns rather than blaming male bias. Weekend, draft preliminary paper on findings. Title: The Respect Deficit. How behavioral changes affect social perception of women. Argue that respect must be earned through consistent demonstration of positive traits. When group reputation declines, solution is improving group behavior rather than demanding institutional changes. Monday, share draft with trusted female colleague. Her response: You can't publish this, it will destroy your career and harm women's rights movement. Ask her if findings are inaccurate. She admits research is solid, but says truth doesn't matter if it damages feminist cause. Feel conflicted between academic integrity and ideological loyalty. Tuesday, test personal behavior changes based on research. Stop claiming discrimination when facing normal challenges. Take full responsibility for mistakes. Regulate emotions in professional settings. Immediate improvement in how colleagues respond to me. More respect, better collaboration, increased trust. Personal experiment validates research findings. Wednesday, interview young women about their behavior and its consequences. Ask about accountability, emotional regulation, and personal responsibility. Many admit to using gender strategically when convenient, claiming discrimination to avoid consequences, using emotional manipulation to get special treatment. Several express frustration that these tactics work short-term but damage long-term relationships and reputation. Thursday, study male responses to different types of female behavior, survey data and interview results. Men report high respect for women who demonstrate accountability, competence, and emotional stability. Low respect for women who claim victimhood, avoid responsibility, or manipulate situations. Male respect correlates directly with female behavior patterns rather than inherent bias. Friday, research successful professional women and their behavioral traits. Study what makes some women highly respected in male-dominated fields. Consistent pattern: they hold themselves to high standards, take responsibility for outcomes, demonstrate competence without claiming special accommodation. Handle criticism professionally. Avoid using gender as explanation for challenges. These women earn respect through behavior, rather than demanding it through institutional pressure. Weekend, 2 months after starting research. Ready to acknowledge uncomfortable truth about women's respect deficit. Problem isn't primarily male bias or patriarchal conditioning. Problem is behavioral changes in significant portion of female population. Monday, decision to publish research despite career risks. Academic integrity requires reporting findings regardless of political implications. Submit paper to Sociology Journal. Expect rejection based on ideology rather than methodology. Tuesday, begin speaking publicly about findings. Give lecture on earned respect versus demanded respect in gender relations. Mixed audience response. Some women angry at implications. Others relieved someone acknowledged patterns they've observed. Male attendees grateful that someone finally discussed this topic honestly. Wednesday, create blog post series on respect and accountability. Argue that feminism must evolve to emphasize personal responsibility alongside fighting discrimination. Immediate backlash from feminist community, called internalized misogynist and traitor to women's rights. But also support from women who recognize need for behavioral accountability. Thursday, interview requests from media outlets. Some want to use research for anti-feminist purposes, others want to dismiss findings entirely. Careful to maintain nuanced position. Fighting discrimination remains important, but must be combined with personal accountability. Friday, 3 months after beginning research. Fundamental shift in understanding of gender dynamics. Respect isn't automatically owed based on identity. Must be earned through consistent demonstration of respectable behavior. Women can regain social respect by rejecting victimhood culture and embracing accountability. Weekend, reflection on personal transformation through research. Started believing disrespect toward women came entirely from male bias. Discovered it also comes from observable patterns of problematic female behavior. Solution requires both fighting discrimination and improving conduct standards for women. Monday, final paper publication. Title: The Behavioral Basis of Social Respect: Why Character Matters More Than Identity. Conclude that sustainable respect requires consistent demonstration of positive traits regardless of gender. Groups that excuse poor behavior from members will see declining social respect over time. Tuesday, 6 months later. Continue advocating for balanced approach to gender equality. Fight discrimination while also promoting accountability. Support women's rights while acknowledging women's responsibilities. Get criticism from both traditional feminists and anti-feminists, but position feels intellectually honest. Wednesday, mentor young women differently now. Encourage competence and accountability rather than grievance and victimhood. Students respond positively to higher expectations, combined with genuine support. Thursday, notice changes in how colleagues interact with me. Higher respect, more trust, better collaboration. Modeling accountable behavior creates better relationships across gender lines. Friday, final reflection on why respect declined and how to restore it. Women lost respect because too many started acting in ways that don't deserve respect. Feminist culture inadvertently encouraged this through victimhood messaging. Solution: combine fighting discrimination with personal accountability. Earn respect through behavior while demanding equal treatment under law. Maybe that's what true equality looks like: same standards and same opportunities for everyone.